In today's video, we are going to be talking about why you feel such an intense repulsion for your partner. I know this is not talked about on the internet. I know this is even weird to say out loud, and I even received a comment on one of my videos saying that feeling repulsion for your partner is the most shallow thing ever, that you would consider leaving someone because of how they look. So I really want to take the shame out of this, because anything that is not talked about and is not exposed really makes the shame thrive in that even more. So I want to take the shame out of this by just bringing it out in the open and talking about it openly with you and sharing from my own experience in hopes that it helps you. And we're going to go into details like why your brain does this and how to actually move through it, and why maybe seeing content online may have not helped you with this, or even just knowing about this hasn't helped you thus far. And I'm really sorry for my lighting. It is later at night than I normally film, but I really just wanted to make this video and get it out to you, and hopefully it does not affect you getting the information. So let's start with why you feel that repulsion in the first place. So I'm going to start with how your brain is wired. Your brain is wired for safety. The ultimate goal is to help you survive, and so you need to stay safe. And with that being said, most fearful avoidants have experienced a lot of chaos in their childhood. They have experienced physical abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse. Maybe they've even experienced SA. The home that they lived in didn't feel safe. And they started to associate love with unpredictability, love as being unsafe. Because the person you were receiving love from and were dependent on was also the person causing you to feel unsafe, causing all of this unpredictability, causing you to walk on eggshells. Because this is all you knew from childhood, your brain then started to associate love with unpredictability, love with hurt, love with chaos. And so now when you find yourself in a relationship where you have a loving partner, you have someone who loves you unconditionally, who isn't waiting for you to be perfect or isn't trying to change you or mold you into something that you are not, but they are just genuinely in the relationship because they want to be with you, that literally raises red flags in your brain. In the part of your brain that is fearful and is so worried about your survival, it associates love with unpredictability, love as being unsafe. And so when you finally start to feel that for your partner, what do you think goes off? Because it's all fine and great in the beginning, and you were attracted to your partner, and then suddenly you start to notice, oh, like I'm so repulsed by this person. I'm not attracted to them anymore. What was I thinking? They're not the one. We don't have chemistry. These are a lot of the thoughts that came into my mind and a lot of my clients' minds. You start to think, what if we end up in a loveless relationship, in a loveless marriage down the line? We have no chemistry. I don't feel the passion with this person 24/7. I'm not always attracted to them. And so much of this narrative is just protection. So many of these thoughts that come up are from the protective part of your brain trying to keep you safe, trying to keep you safe from the unsafe love that you are experiencing in this moment. And what doesn't help is the fact that all we see on social media, all we see on TV are these fairy tale relationships. When you see all of these fairy tales on TV where you don't even get to see the relationship in real life, you don't get to see couples going through real life things. They're really just like things leading up to the relationship, and then it's like, oh, it's happy ever after. And they lived happily ever after. But then what actually happens after that? And when you add a sprinkle of never having a healthy role model for a realistic, practical relationship, a healthy relationship, when you've never had that, mixed in with everything you see on TV, believing that relationships are these fantasies, these fairy tales, and you are associating love with being unsafe, what does that give you when you're actually now in the thick of it and you're in the relationship? The reason that you are feeling repulsed by your partner is a culmination of all of these things combined. Your brain is in this moment trying to protect you. And it is trying to protect you by bringing up all of these thoughts as a reason to leave the relationship. Because if you stay in this relationship and feel love, which is associated with pain and hurt from the past, then you will not survive. And because it is so concerned with your survival and your safety, it will go to extreme lengths to get you to that safety. It does not care about your happiness. It does not care whether you mess up this relationship or not. Its main concern is just to keep you safe. And it is living based on past programming. And there are 2 steps in moving through this. The first one you are already doing by exposing yourself to this information. Now you know what is actually going on in the background, why this is playing out. You know that there is a part of you that is just trying to keep you safe. It is just trying to ensure that you survive. And on the other part of it, there is also so many unexpressed emotions from your childhood that are still being stored in your body. The hurt that you've experienced in your childhood, the fear that you've experienced in your childhood, the walking on eggshells, the punishment, the criticism, all of these things that you associate with love are still in your body because you weren't able to express them and you weren't able to process them. And what I often hear from clients when they finally find me and they start working with me, I'll hear them say things like, I read all the books, I listened to all the podcasts, I watched all the videos. Even with all of that, I would be in the moment with my partner and I just wasn't able to help myself. I found my body almost taking over and doing something completely different than what I intended to do. And that is because your body and your subconscious mind are always going to take the lead. You can watch all the videos, listen to all the content, do all the inner work that you want in isolation, but until you regulate your nervous system and until you release these things from your body, you are going to keep repeating the same patterns over and over again because your body is not going to let you put it at risk because it still has all of these emotions inside. It still feels all of these things and it is bracing for impact. Notice if you're even sitting right now and you're feeling tension in your shoulders. Maybe you're feeling like you have a knot in your throat. Maybe you're even feeling like this tension or tightness in your heart. Maybe you are feeling tightness in your stomach. All of these things are signaling that you are holding these emotions in your body. That there is something that is feeling stuck and is causing stagnation and blockage to what you want. And what you want and the love that you want to feel is on the other side of feeling that emotion, of expressing that emotion and releasing it and reintegrating it back into your life. And so that is the next step. You can listen to all the content and do all of these things. That alone can do wonders. But when you finally come back into your body and feel all the things that you avoided feeling because it didn't feel safe in the past to do so, or feel all the things that you were never taught to feel and were never allowed to feel, when you actually give yourself the permission to do that, to sit with the uncomfortable, to expand your capacity for holding things that you were avoiding, sitting with anxiety, sitting with fear, sitting with grief, sitting with feeling unattracted to your partner, sitting with all of these feelings that continue to come up. And the more you sit with these feelings, the more you expand your capacity to sit with discomfort, the easier it becomes. And the more you create a safe space for these things to exist within you, the less blockages you will experience, the less disconnected you will feel from yourself. Because oftentimes what happens when you feel something uncomfortable and you immediately go up in your head, trying to make up stories about it, trying to analyze it, trying to see where it came from your childhood, which we are discussing here, you can analyze it all day long. But until you actually sit with it and give it the space and witness it with compassion, not with judgment, that is when the unheard child inside of you that is screaming out for your attention can finally just relax. Because what happens when you are constantly up in your head and you are avoiding being in your body, which is so valid because you experience so much pain that it feels like too much to be in your body. It's so much easier to make stories. It's so much easier to analyze. But when you continuously go up in your head, you are self-abandoning. You are abandoning your body. You are abandoning that inner child in the time when it needs you the most. And I'm not saying any of this to even shame you or to say that you are doing anything wrong. This is so normal because the emotions become so intense and it becomes so unbearable that the only way to really cope with it is to go up in the head and to come up with all these stories and to see your partner as unattractive, because it might not seem logical to do these things to someone who doesn't have this attachment style or didn't experience this type of childhood. But when you experience that type of childhood, it all starts to make sense. And at the same time, you don't have to make sense of everything and analyze everything. Your body needs you to feel what you went through. Feel the things that you couldn't feel back then. Feel the things that caused you to associate love with being unsafe, that hurt your heart. The things that were just so painful that you couldn't allow yourself to feel then. Because they're still in here. They're still in your body. Your body keeps the score. I've talked about this book before on this channel. Your body remembers everything. It remembers all the experiences. And I've mentioned before that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And emotions are energy in motion. Emotions were meant to be moved through you. And when they're not able to move, meaning they're not able to be expressed, they're not able to be processed, they become stagnant and they become blockages in your body. And then you show up now and you're thinking, oh, I have a hard time expressing my needs. I have a hard time saying what I want to say. I have a hard time setting a boundary. I have a hard time even complimenting people. I have a hard time loving my partner. And if you guys actually want me to do a video on what love looks like, I think I've made one before, but I don't think I went into too many details. So if you want me to create a separate video for that, I can do that, because my view of what love was, what relationships look like, used to be so vastly different than what I believe now. And it was so heavily influenced by the unhealthy relationship that I saw growing up. It was so heavily influenced by everything that I saw on TV. And then I came into a real relationship and realized, oh, that's not really what love is. If you want me to create a video on that, leave a comment down below. And if you feel like, okay, I've literally watched all the videos and I've listened to all the podcasts, and I just don't know what to do about this. My body just takes over. And you want to go to that deeper level and do that deeper level of inner work, I will leave the link to my somatic coaching down below. And I don't think I've explained what somatics really is on this channel, but soma essentially means body. Somatics are all about coming back to the body to process all of those unexpressed emotions or stuck emotions. And the interesting thing about healing this, specifically in attachment style, is that so much of trauma happens in relationships. So much of trauma happens between you and another person. And so much of trauma happens in family units. And oftentimes what we do is we isolate ourselves. When we do inner work, we isolate ourselves and we journal, we do all the inner work in isolation and we hide. And then we show up in the relationship and then we're like, oh, I feel like this is like so different. It's not the same. Like when you're out of a relationship doing inner work and you feel amazing versus when you're actually in it and you are doing that inner work, it feels so completely different. And specifically for fearful avoidance, so much of the healing happens in relationships. So much of the healing happens inside a family unit, not outside of it. Fearful avoidants actually feel amazing outside of relationships and they're not constantly being triggered. But so much of the healing happens inside the relationship. And a huge reason why I love the work that I do is that I love creating a safe space for my clients. I love being that safe person for them, to finally see them in all of their pain, in all of their humanness, and to let them know that there is no shame around feeling any type of emotion. We're all human. We are here to experience all of our emotions, all the range of what it means to be human. And there can be so much shame around feeling all of these contradicting emotions. And there can be so much shame even bringing this up in friendships, because it's like when you share this with your friends and you say, I'm not attracted to my partner, they're gonna say, why are you with them? It is not easy to share what you're experiencing with the people around you. But I want you to know that in this community, this is a safe space for you to share everything that you have experienced and to share all of the contradictions and all the contradicting thoughts that continuously come up. Because I have been there and I have felt alone in all of it. And I felt like there was something wrong with me, that I was broken. And it really contributed to me hiding even more. It contributed to me staying stuck in the same patterns even more. And it's not until I exposed all of these things and I shared all of these things with mentors that I had, that I was finally able to actually move towards secure attachment. So I just want you to know that you are not alone in feeling how you feel, and that you are always welcome here to share your experience, to share your emotions, and that all of your feelings are valid. It doesn't mean that they are true, that they are a fact, but they are valid. You are feeling how you are feeling for a reason, and that is welcome here. So thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.